Hi, welcome. This is my final project for ARC532, Enhancing Your Architectural Thinking Through Theory. My name is Tara Nez, and we'll start right now. So, architectural theory is very significant within the discipline of architecture for a variety of reasons. So, first, it provides a framework for understanding design principles and practices. It encourages critical thinking about the built environment and its impact on society. It influences the evolution of architectural styles of movements throughout history. It guides architects in making informed decisions about materials, form, and function, and it fosters innovations by challenging conventional ideas and exploring new concepts. And last but not least, it enhances communication among architects, clients, and stakeholders through shared terminology. So, throughout the course, we touched on many subjects through the theoretical frameworks. For example, architecture and power, heritage, memory, and architecture, architecture and nationalism, body, desire, pleasure, and subjective experience, metropolis, megalopolis, metacity, ecology, nature, and sustainable architecture, technology, virtual world, and the rise of the AI. So there's two different types of theoretical frameworks that really did resonate with me and actually applies to this project coming up. Is that one would be architecture and power. So some key factors is that it helps shape social interactions and power dynamics in spaces. It can reflect and reinforce societal hierarchies and control mechanisms, and the layout of the public spaces influence accessibility and inclusivity. And the quote right here actually talks about um, how these spaces are actually formed and how it is very important to study these spaces in terms of gender and recognizing gender and how it affects people. And I think it's very important because public space is both man and woman. So, the second theoretical framework that really did resonate within me would be the ecology, nature, and sustainable architecture. So, some factors to consider is utilizing local materials reduces transportation and helps to support the local economy. It creates flexible spaces that adapt to changing needs and reduces resources consumption. And also, incorporating green roofs, rainwater harvesting, and solar panels can improve the longevity of the building without relying on non-sustainable practices. So the quote that I provided about actually talks about how architecture is already a foreign object in nature. So how can we as architects break that barrier? And I think that's a very important topic in terms of theoretical frameworks. So in the beginning of the semester, we did the precedent study analysis, and with that, we decided to do a school of our choosing, where we studied the whole building. I decided to do the Montessori School by Herman Hertzberger in Delft, Netherlands. It was originally built in 1960, based on the Montessori school method. So this school is actually designed to be added more onto it. And as you can see throughout the years, the school did eventually add more into it. And it's based on an formal and informal learning structure. The room consists of the classrooms in purple, cafeterias, closets, circulations, and what set this apart is the L-shaped learning, L-shaped classrooms. To the right, you can see that in the beginning they did incorporate that, but they started to kind of drift away, which is interesting because the whole reason for that was for the Montessori method, where the classroom is separated into formal and informal learning environments. And here you can see how circulation is brought into the project. So after doing the precedent study analysis, we started to dive head on into our semester project, which is uh, designing a school. So the school that I designed here is the Montessori Art School, located in Phoenix, downtown Phoenix area. It's located in the Evans Churchill West area, which is known for its developing into high density residential buildings, retail space, and lots of up and coming restaurants. Just south of the site is a downtown campus, ASU downtown campus. There's an art theater about 5 minutes east of the site, and then the central library is actually a 3-minute walk north of the site. So lots of like educational areas. On the Van Buren Street, which is just a street over, actually hosts First Fridays every month. So that area is actually rich in culture of like art, retail, and like just ASU students. So the program of the school is actually based on a 20-foot grid. It's actually broken up into three different areas, which is the active learning area, the public space, and even the administration area. The building is 5 stories high, and majority of the public space is on the first floor, along with the library and open art gallery. The third through fourth floors are all classrooms, and to the right of the building or the north of the building is the administration side where it has the offices, cafeteria, lab spaces, and then the art space. And here are the floor plans along with the area names. Last but not least, the fifth floor plan. Here's a transverse perspective of the building showing how each space is stacked upon each other and how the open amphitheater kind of percolates sunlight down below. So the classroom is actually based off of what Herman Hertzberger did in the Montessori school with the L-shaped classrooms. So when you come in, you have the reading room where the window is a Montessori play area, and then the formal classroom where you have the seating and the whiteboard, and then the teacher is given a big closet as well. So what's interesting about this and what's different approach that I did with the learning spaces was that I divided it up with like movable walls where you're able to like pull out walls to separate the spaces from like the quiet zones to the activity zones. That way, students are not distracted or students are not distracting other students. And again, this is a classroom section perspective. As you can see, the library and then how the classrooms are and how the HVAC and everything comes together inside the building. So, doing the passive systems, I incorporated 5 things within the building, which is solar geometry and fenestration, which is the outer facade. I incorporated natural breeze that comes in from the south and goes out the north. I did desert landscaping for climate appropriate landscape, site permeable surfaces so that surface runoff can into the groundwater. And then I did the green roof where it can mitigate against the urban heat island. And this is the facade of the building. As you can see, it comprises of 4 different vertical fins that is developed into a certain pattern and then placed onto the building. And this actually provides visual appeal and architectural character. It helps protect the building from natural elements like rain, wind, and the sun. It improves energy efficiency by insulating and regulating temperatures. It enhances acoustics by reducing noise pollution from the outside so that students inside won't be really hearing much of the cars honking outside. It facilitates ventilation and airflow to improve indoor air quality. So the facade is actually not just to look visually appealing, but it actually has some very important characteristics for the building. And here are the 2 isometric views of the building. Feel free to pause. So here are the interior perspectives of the school. So we have the art gallery coming into it, we have the classroom, and we have the library and what we see inside the art gallery. So just reflecting on this semester's project in terms of architectural theory approach, so architecture and power, one, I could have studied more into the spaces and the eyes of the children. Like, for example, how does a female versus male child's brain impact how they learn in terms of space? And then not only that, but how can the layout of the classroom really impact learning? I know I did the L-shaped approach on trying to divide up the spaces, but what more could I have brought to the table? Next would be the ecology, nature, and sustainable architecture. What could I brought more into the table instead of like the normal steel, concrete, and wood? What could have been more vigilant in trying to see what Arizona has for local materials. And I know this is a missed opportunity in using rammed earth. Maybe next project, how could I have looked at the environmental impact on getting those materials to the site? So all of these is very important when reflecting back on my semester project, and it's something that I could think of for next year's semester. So, applications to future design practices in terms of architecture and power is that I can start to think the building not for the use of its normative school program, but start to draw a connection of space as a power dynamic to bring a community together. And then, not only that, but starting historical architecture, you can see how that starts to embody the power structure of its time. Like, how does that different from today? Another thing is ecology, nature, and sustainable architecture. I can start focusing on local materials and looking at ways material is transported to the site, and then designing buildings to maximize natural light, ventilation, and minimizing energy use. So these are the things that I could brought to the table this year, but I know for future projects, I can be more mindful with this. So, architectural theory within itself is very important in terms of thinking, practice, and design innovation. Not only that, but learning to embrace and study historical context to inform contemporary design choices. You can use it to analyze user needs and resources to create functional spaces. You can use it to foster interdisciplinary collaboration to enrich creative solutions, and even explore and learn to push boundaries of both materials and traditional approaches to architecture. So I just want to say thank you for reaching the end of this video. I just wanted to say that I appreciate all that I have learned this semester in terms of architecture theory. I'm going to really take this with me when moving forward to school projects, future projects, and maybe shaping me as an architect. So thank you.